Hey, what is going on, guys? So forgive me because this is going to be a little ranty. Usually I plan my videos so they're a little bit more, on point, scripted. So this is going to be kind of like a, train of thought. So forgive me if I don't get everything out, if it's not perfect and stuff. But I just got back from the UK, my first day back, my first workout back. Super tired, still got that jet lag. But something happened recently that just made me really want to make this point, make this rant, because I feel like, you guys know me, I'm not a drama channel. I don't call people out very often. I hate bringing negativity around, but I do feel like sometimes it's important to use our voice if it's needed, and I do feel like it is needed right now. So, as some of you guys know, Cajon, who, if you don't know, he's a very, very famous pro bodybuilder. A lot of people follow him. He's been one of my bodybuilding idols since I pretty much started like 10 years ago lifting. And he's one of those guys who, he kind of breaks the whole meathead thing, or at least he used to for me, because a lot of bodybuilders are just like, just work out and that's it. But he always went philosophical, he always went deep with it. So I always had a lot of respect for him. So if you're seeing this, man, I'm calling you out, man, but I don't hate you, brother. I'm just hoping that, I'm just like, I don't know, just a little disappointed. It seems out of character what you've been kind of doing here with the whole vegan thing. And I feel like if you really think about it, I think you'll understand, that it's out of character for you too. And I think maybe you would change the way that you're approaching this. Anyways, so if you don't know, Cajon has never been vegan, right? So just recently he posted and said he's going to do a 7-day trial of veganism. And that was about 7 days ago, maybe 8 now. But about 2 or 3 days ago, he came out with a book, an ebook called Plant-Based Dieting, right? And if you've been following him on Instagram, you've been seeing him post a lot of, like vegan stuff. Like he's been very hyped up. He's been like stoked that he's vegan, right? If you go and look, you'll see he's commented on like Thor Johnson, which is like the mountain from Game of Thrones. He's been commenting on like a bunch of different people's accounts and been saying, hey, you should try out the vegan thing. It's awesome, man. I'm feeling great. Everything's awesome. I just watched the Game Changers. It's crazy. My mind is, open and different. And, I'm really excited about this. So a lot of us vegan people have been very, very excited for him as well. And if you've been looking in his comment section, maybe you've been there too. A lot of people have been showing support and saying, I'm stoked you're vegan, Kai. Keep going at it. If you need help, hit me up. Me and a bunch of other influencers are in his comments almost every single day. I was commenting every single picture and video, just stoked. And if you're from the outside, it looks like he's 100% plant-based, for this trial. It seems like he really is enjoying it. And there's been a lot of debate. Do you think he's gonna stick with it or not? I personally kind of lean towards, I kind of feel like he will. Maybe not forever, but I feel like after this week, he's gonna stick to it for a long time. Some other people have been saying they don't believe it at all. And recently, he came out with that plant-based book. Now, I was like, first off, it's a little weird. I'm sure you're all thinking the same thing as me. You're only 7 days into vegan, trial, and then you come out with a book, which just seems kind of weird because it's like you haven't really done it long to know how it affects you. And honestly, probably haven't done the research quite yet because it takes a while to do research. So I went and bought the book because I wanted to see what it said. Now, the thing that really kind of ticked me off was when I went on his website, there's a couple preview pictures. One of the preview pictures is one of the pages from the ebook. So I can share that without, getting in trouble or anything like that. And off the top of my head, it says something like, you're on an island and there's all these plant foods and whatnot, but the reality of things is once you're back on the mainland, something kind of like this, I'll have it on screen, you don't need to be so dichotomous in your choices, meaning dichotomous, like you don't need to be so one way or the other. He says you don't need to give up the benefits of lean animal-based proteins. Full stop. The book's called Plant-Based Dieting. If you were to purchase this book, I would assume that you were hoping that you would learn how to eat plant-based while gaining muscle and being a bodybuilder and whatnot. But then this page in the book rounds up the whole book, kind of finishes the whole book and says, actually, you shouldn't go 100% plant-based. You should have a balanced diet of both. Now, I have so many things to say about this. First off, the first thing that comes to my head, forgive me, I'm all hyped up, but the first thing that comes to my head is, isn't that just a diet that everybody who's been bodybuilding forever has always followed? Like, are there truly any bodybuilders out there who are just eating meat and no plants? Even before I was vegan, so I've been lifting for 10, 11 years, something like that. Even before I was vegan, I was eating tons of meat, I was eating tons of dairy, but you're damn right, I was also getting like my potatoes in, I was getting tons of greens in, not tons, but I was getting my greens in, my vegetables in, because I know, everybody knows that vegetables are good for you, vitamins, minerals, very important. So the whole sum of the book is telling you just to eat how regularly people eat. Like, I don't even know why there's a book. He didn't even make a book about this, because it's just basically saying, hey, just keep on keeping on, just do what you've always been doing. So to me, that feels really weird. The other thing that I thought was really weird is, like, again, I can't go really deep into the book and explain what it says. I feel like it's just not legal and stuff, but in the book, he mentions some B12 things, and when he mentions the B12 things, he states some facts that are wrong. So he's saying things like, you know, on this island, you're gonna need to eat meat because you need B12, which just shows me that he hasn't done the research to actually understand where B12 comes from. You know, obviously, if you follow research and stuff and you know how things work, B12 is not something that's actually in animals and mammals. We don't create it. Mammals don't synthesize it. Humans, animals, we don't. What happens is they inject B12 into the cows and the different, meats and stuff, so that the American and probably everybody in the world isn't deficient of B12. The reason why is because we mass produce our vegetation, our produce, and because of that we have to kill a lot of the germs and bacteria and whatnot by using pesticides and all that kind of stuff. So if we weren't mass manufacturing plants, we would be able to get our B12 in just from the little bits of dirt that are still left on the vegetables. But because we sanitize them, we have to inject it into our animals so that our society isn't B12 deficient. So B12 is actually something that isn't from animals. So right there, it just shows that he came up with the book just because he saw money in it. And that's the whole point of this video, is I've seen this happen time and time again, where people see that veganism has a big trend, it's a big popularity, a new documentary comes out. People are excited because they're like, you know what, if I mess with this plant-based thing or vegan thing, people are gonna come in and it's gonna be relevant. There's gonna be a lot of new things, a lot of new followers. And that's exactly what you've seen over there. His comments are just filled with vegans being like, we're so stoked for you. I think it's important for me to call this out just because as soon as someone who is well known switches to a plant-based diet, we all jump in and support. And I think that's awesome. But I think it's also important to let people know, when you see something like this, you need to take it with a grain of salt. You don't just believe it all full on. Maybe you're new to veganism and you want some information, and Kai Green's always been one of your favorite, right? So you're like, all right, I'm gonna buy the book because I know that it's gonna teach me about plant-based dieting, which I'm interested in. You finish the book, and then it rounds up with telling you that you should have a balanced diet of animal and plant, foods. So I think this does more harm than good. You could argue that people who are new or wanting to get into veganism will see that Kai is interested in posting about it. Then they'll get into veganism, then they'll follow their own route, watch documentaries, get into the ethical and health side of, the benefits and whatnot, and say, I'm gonna be vegan full on, even if Kai isn't. But I'm gonna argue that it's either balanced, or I would say even more people are going to follow Kai, be stoked that he's doing the plant-based thing, try it with him, right? Because he's one of my favorites. And then he's gonna, at some point come out like with his book or on his content in his Instagram feed and say, you know what, I tried it, I didn't really love it, I enjoyed some benefits, but I think it's important to do a balanced version. And I think a lot more people who would be interested in going forward with plant-based diet, who if he didn't exist, they didn't see all that content, would probably have stuck with it. And I think that when celebrities or big name people try the plant-based thing out and then they fail, or they say, oh, there's this or that thing that I didn't really like, or there was that side effect, or I just couldn't get this or that in, I think it takes more people away, and I think it's actually a bad thing. So I think it's important that we do call people out. Again, I'm not somebody who loves to do this kind of stuff. Yeah, I think I've made enough points about Kai's thing. I don't want to really reveal what's in his book, just because I don't want to get into any like hairy situations or anything like that. But there's a lot of other statements in there that just to me shows that he hasn't done any actual research. He just got into it because he knew people were getting hyped on him. He saw that there's a huge new following of people on his page, and he said, hey, I could write a really quick book for $5, sell it, make some quick money. I don't really actually care about this movement. I don't really care about the people who are trying to get into this movement. I just, see that it's a good trend. And I think that happens a lot when people go into it without an ethical reason for it and without actually truly wanting any health benefits from it. I guess the last thing I'll say here, and in my head I'm kind of waffling back on whether or not I want to say this, but I will, just because I just want to make another point. Again, forgive me for this rant, but a while back there was there's a vegan who's gone ex-vegan. She's actually a really good friend of mine back then. We haven't talked since then, so I don't know, but I still really like the person. I think she's really sweet, and I think the reason she went ex-vegan is just because she got confused and some new things happened in her life, and some new people came into her life, and it just kind of confused her mindset on it stuff. And I don't think she did the due diligence of like figuring out what was the problem with her health. But you guys know Ravana. She was somebody who was really promoting a raw vegan diet. Eventually she moved away from the completely raw diet and was just promoting a vegan diet. But she came out with a challenge. It was like a 21-day raw vegan challenge, and it kind of like explained to you, how you can do a raw vegan diet, and obviously it's just a challenge to do it for 21 days, see how you feel at the end of it. When Ravana got exposed for doing the elbows over the fish plate, she was in the background of someone's Instagram story. They were like filming, and then she saw the person was filming and they could see the fish was on her plate, so she put her elbows in front of it. After that, the video got posted on the YouTube. She got exposed for it. She had to basically come out and explain that she hasn't been vegan and this is why, and all these other reasons. And so she basically said, okay, I'm not vegan anymore. But one of the things that I'm just reinforcing is that I think a lot of people just see money in it. She still had a 21-day vegan challenge up on her website for a really long time, multiple weeks. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I believe like multiple months, perhaps even, after she had said, she isn't vegan anymore because she had health issues. She had like SIBO, I think. She had all these issues that came up, obviously from the way that she had been eating, right? Like that's what her claim was. She was blaming that the vegan diet she was on wasn't optimal for her health, and so that she had to, start incorporating different animal products and not be vegan anymore. But then hypocritically, at the same time, she has this book up on her, or this challenge up on her website, probably an ebook or a course or something like that, and it's promoting the diet that theoretically is causing her all these health issues. You follow me? So again, it's just like one of those things where it just gets me kind of fired up, man, because like if those people don't follow somebody who's gonna flip-flop and is hypocritical and isn't actually really fully into it and doesn't actually do the due diligence and research of figuring out what's wrong with them, what aren't they getting in their diet, what is the problem, and how could they actually go forward with doing plant-based dieting and vegan dieting in a proper way, then they just quit because it's not working out for them or whatever. I think it does a lot of harm. Versus if somebody was following, somebody who was really into it for the right reasons, like me or John Venus or Derek Simnan, Nimai Delgado. I mean, I think we would be able to get a lot more positive information out there, and a lot more people who aren't getting confused with a message. And obviously, if those people are following people who really do care about the vegan diet and the lifestyle and stuff, they can kind of trust you more. But it's so easy to trust anybody who has a big following, because by default you kind of feel like they have an authoritative position. I think that's everything. I know I had some notes that I was gonna make this like a full video at some other point, but I just felt fiery after this gym workout today, and I was just thinking about it, and I just wanted to get this up. I know this is a little bit of a ramble, a little bit of a rant, but again, I just want to make this video so that to be skeptical sometimes when you do see things on the internet. If you guys have any added thoughts or anything like that, let me know. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big old thumbs up. I am planning on coming out with a lot of new content this week. My next video was actually going to be some videos I recorded in the UK, but I just wanted to get this up first, so look out for those videos coming soon. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Team Beyond the Week, CT.
Lift heavy or die Myron, motherfucker.
Team Beyond the Week.